Hello everybody. Do you want to see something really quite sad? This is my composing chair. Look at the state of it. Imagine all the hundreds or even thousands of hours I must have been sitting here writing music to reduce it to this pathetic state. And I wouldn't half mind betting that at least 50% of that time I've been playing with string samples, because string samples are absolutely at the core of what a lot of orchestral writers do. Now, I thought today we'd have a look at some new string libraries and do a bit of a review, and to help us along the way, my old friend John Williams. Welcome to the studio, John.
I'm happy to be here.
Are you a big fan of the YouTube channel?
This is the greatest guy. He's a fabulous, direct, honest, wonderful artist.
No. Oh, you're too kind. Look, you really are a very, very kind man. Thank you very much. And are you happy to stay with us and listen to some string samples as well?
Okay.
Absolutely great. Right, super. So let's get started. So these are the libraries I'm going to look at. Now, I'd had a load of libraries. I've had all the 8DO stuff. I've had Cine strings, had lots of other things, and including the Spitfire bespoke strings, actually, when they first, right back in the day. This latest incarnation, which is Spitfire symphonic strings and Spitfire chamber strings, are pretty much what make up the vast majority of my strings in my template. I've owned them for a number of years and they're my sort of go-tos. And I don't necessarily buy every string library now which comes along because I'm perfectly happy with those. But a lot of people said, you need to try Cinematic studio strings and you need to try Berlin strings. Okay, so I got in touch with Tobias at Orchestral Tools and said, can I have a review copy? And likewise, the nice people at Cinematic Studio Strings. So these are review copies they've lent me. And I like them both. They've both got strengths and weaknesses, and we'll go through all that in time. So the Spitfire sound is one which is defined by the Lyndhurst Hall, the Air Lyndhurst Hall, which is where they're recorded. Here we go. It's a big, warm, ambient space, and the sound of the library is quite ambient. And so this is the room which you're getting when you buy into the Spitfire sound. With Berlin strings, you're getting a relatively small group of players in the tail deck scoring stage. It's got a really nice room sound. I'm very fond of the sound of a relatively small group of players in a big space, because a string orchestra a lot of the time, as I say, is the sound of the space every bit as much as it's the sound of the players. And I've done a number of live sessions with chamber strings in big scoring staging, and it sounds fantastic. With Cinematic Studio Strings, that is the studio in question, tracked down in Sydney, another medium to large space, so you very much get the sound of the room. So those are the spaces in which they're recorded, and the easiest way to illustrate what they sound like is to start with the shorts. So let me just give you a quick blast of, first of all, Spitfire symphonic strings. This is their spiccato. There's no reverb on this. This is the sound of the room. Okay. The chamber strings. Okay, Berlin. Okay, Cinematic Studio Strings. Much drier. Actually, you see, let's have a little look. It's got reverb there. Now, interestingly, okay, I was talking to another games composer at a conference the other day, And he said he really liked the shorts in Cinematic Studio Streams because it's so well edited that they're very, very consistent. Because sometimes if the editing's a little uneven, so obviously the timing is. Okay, so that's the basic sound of the room and the sound of the library. Let's start with, Spitfire symphonic strings. It's a big old library. I mean, these are ensemble longs which have got loaded up here. You get an enormous range of articulations. You really do. And those are the ensemble ones. If you go into the individual instruments, which is really where the library shines, that's a very long list. Look, you've got trills of minor thirds, major thirds, measured tremolo, other things which quite a lot of different shorts. You get, what on earth is long Rachmaninoff? Things I've had in the library for years. I had no idea it had long Rachmaninoff molto vol. Okay, so this is long Rachmaninoff molto vibrato. Woo! Okay, I'm not sure what I think of that. But it's there. Okay. This is a signature sound for Spitfire is flautando. Lovely, lovely, lovely sound. I really like it. You know, you can see why. It's not a hard sound to play. You just sort of get into it, and off you go. Super long sul tasto. But these soft, delicate textures are things which they really do particularly well. Lots of shorts. Okay, brushed is an interesting one. I quite like this. I use this quite a bit, but it's not quite so. Let's turn it up a bit. Yeah, you've got a lot of variety there. I like the ensemble. I'm very fond of ensemble patches. Particularly because I tend to work at the speed of light, and so it's very nice to have something which I can go. A thing which is really important with all these libraries is the. Hang on, let's go back to the top, because actually if you just load up the violin ones like this, what you get is this. You get a whole load of articulations in one patch. So you get the... Go away, I've done that, thank you. Consordino. Okay, so, it all sounds great. I mean, what's not to like, really, honestly? Let's have a look at the legato stuff, because that's a big deal. Here's the one performance legato. Right. Everybody does legato slightly differently. It's the great challenge to make it sound real. But not just real, but easy to play. Because if you have 1,001 different controls, you can make it sound real, but... What do you think, John?
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's very, very easy to play and does sound great. It really, really does. Let's just run you through. I'm very fond. I think you can tell a lot about a library from viola, actually. And it's great. I really like it. If you want to get into the real detail, you can mess about with the... don't show any more help bubbles, thank you. Okay, so now if you mix up the... You wanted it a little bit less ambient? Micropositions, in my view, don't work as well on legato patches as other ones. That is okay. So that is basically the sound of the symphonic strings. My personal favorite, the one I tend to use all the time, is the chamber strings, which I think it's just got that little bit more edge to it. Consordino. I know, it goes all the way through. Harmonics, the spiccatos. Play that all day long. But the thing about the chamber strings is, I think it has even. I don't know, but I think it has even more articulations, if that's even possible, than look at that lot. Look at all that. That is an enormous list of articulations. Trills up to a major fourth, perfect fourth. I mean, major fourth. Get over it, Guy. Nice sound, yeah. Marcato attack. You know, there's patches in here. I've had this library for ages. Again, you got all the kind of all the mic positions. You got nice and easy version of it to sort out like that. You can, with all the Spitfire stuff, you can load either individual articulations. It puts together extended techniques and core techniques in different patches. So by decorative techniques, they mean all this lot. So what's that? Sul Ponticello Consordino. Ooh, that's nice actually. Sul Pont, Consord, Tremolo, Sul Pont. Come on, it's that one. You can do it. A phenomenal range and the effects. So you're never going to run out of patches for that. But all this comes at a price. It's not a cheap library. It's, well, you know, it's a spare no expense library. So the symphonic strings comes at £699 and the chamber strings comes at £599. And in many respects, it is definitely better if you have both. But if you're going for one or the other, I'd go for the chamber strings, personally. What I like about Spitfire is, you know, they just don't let up, because all these are improvements on previous libraries, on Mural and Sable and things like that, which I wasn't very keen on, frankly. And then they sort of reinvented them as chamber strings and symphonic strings, and they just persevere until they get it absolutely nailed. And nailed is what, for me, this is. So, I mean, you know, I live with them all the time. That's that's just, so obviously I like them and I think they're great. Now, let's move on to the libraries which I don't know quite so well. The Berlin strings I was really surprised because I just thought it was going to be the same as every other library. It does things differently. Actually, let's not start with the ensemble one. Let's start with multi-articulations for... Let's do viola, because I think, as I say, this is something I really like. All these different dynamics. Really, really, really nice. I really like it. Okay, so look, it's actually 86554. That's a chamber. That is very much a chamber section. Okay, so using a number of different cross-fading techniques, dynamic layers, legato, fade scripts, vibrato, or playing more than one voice often creates a bigger and pad-like undefined sound. Yes, exactly. By using smaller sections, we aim to counter this effect, resulting in detailed, expressive orchestral string section. It's absolutely true. Because if you have 18 players on violin 1, and you're playing a chord, with 2 notes, or you're playing an interval, suddenly you've got 36 players there, which is completely bonkers. So that the pipe organ effect, as it's known, is a real problem. So I understand why they've gone for a smaller. Let's go to the ordinary. Hang on. Oops, no, I didn't mean to do any of that. Oh, what have I done? I didn't want to turn on legato. Oh, let's start again. You see, you can set up your own patches here. Let's have espressivo long. There you go. Attack, portato. That's very nice. It's a very, very well put together library. Now, with Berlin, there is another side to this, which is quite important. It's not. I didn't look at it first because tends not to be the way I work, because I tend to work with sort of whole ensemble and things like that. But if you really want to get into granular detail, look at the individual articulations and look at this lot. There is tons and tons and tons. And one of the more important ones is this stuff up here. The legatos in these individual articulations are quite different. And really good, actually, really, really good. So you've got a lot in there which you can play around with, but it does require a particular way of working, which is that way of working in that kind of really diving into every single note and every single line, which in my world, which is smash it out, let's get it out the door, doesn't tend to get done. It's all bing, there it is gone. So look, there is a lot going on in here, and it all sounds really, really, really good, to be honest. So, I mean, there's things like trill makers where you can design your own trill things, but it does mean you have to have the time to do that. But don't, in other words, if you are that kind of person and you like the real detail and you want to construct things line by line. This gives you the ability to do that. And it sounds great when you do it. Oh, I'm sorry, so sorry, John.
Okay.
So, to sum up with Berlin, I really like the sound of the small ensemble in a big room. I think that's really, really good. There's some really innovative practice here in terms of the kind of articulations which they've got. I really like the dynamics. I think that's really good. If you go into the individual instruments themselves, the legatos are exceptionally good. And particularly the fast ones, which sometimes is where the whole thing falls to bits. However, there are no real muted strings. It's just done as a filter, which at this price point, I think I would sort of expect to have a decent range of consordino. And the price point, notwithstanding all the amazing detail, is extremely high. And I think it probably, in the current market, is a little bit too high. But if you are the kind of person who wants to dive in and construct string lines in intricate detail one by one, this is a very good choice.
Phenomenal.
Let's move on to what is the least expensive and the smallest of library we're looking at today, but very popular, and that is cinematic strings. It comes from Australia, and why did I do that? I knew I was going to make a stupid accent when I said, what kind of it? I have done a review of cinematic studio strings, but where we did a little piece. Let's move away from this all-in-one patch, because to be honest, the ensembles is not their strength. The individual sections is their strength, which I think, some of them are really, really good. Let's have a look at cinematic. There it is. Let's go with okay, I'm fond of going with the violas because sometimes people skimp on the violas, but not this lot. All these libraries give a really full selection of articulations. Right, here we go. So now the thing with this is, okay, let's turn the legato off for a moment. If that's a bit dry, you can try just going for the room sound. I like that sound a lot, actually. I really like this. It's a simpler library. It is clearly a simpler library than some of the others we looked at. Oh, how does this work? That's effective. Okay, I get that. Let's try it with the mix on one. So maybe try a bit of the. Oh wow! I think that's a bit too edgy for me. Oh look! So. You've got a whole load of stuff going on up here, which you can control from controllers. Those are all CCs, and I suspect they're editable. Yeah, Yeah. So you can change volume from 11 to whatever else you want, all that kind of thing. So a good, oh, nice harmonics. They're quite difficult to do well, to be honest. Pizzicato. Oh, look. I forgot I knew this. So what I'm looking at here and going, ooh, is as you move the mod wheel, you're cycling through the different types of pizzicato. Now, when it really comes into this zone is with shorts, because look, you get everything from spiccato, staccatissimo, staccato, sforzando. So you can play. That works. And let's try that with just my famous room thing on. So you can it's really easy then to switch about with the articulation as you're playing, which is really good. I like that a lot. Trills. Okay, trills. You have to play both notes. So you play, for example, C and C sharp, and you get a semitone trill, a half-tone trill. The D and E. I'm not a huge fan of that right now, unless I haven't understood it properly. But what you're getting here is a very well put together. Oh, let's go for classic legato patches. Let's give that a go before we call it a day with this lot. It's nice. It's very nice indeed. Let's go for room sound. It's a little laggy. But let's go back to the main one again. Here you go. Let's load him up. It's a very effective library. You could have lots of fun with this. It would sound really good. And yes, the articulations are fine. It's got reasonable range, not as much as Berlin or Spitfire. The sound's really good. There's lots of little ways. Again, it doesn't have proper mutes. You have to have the mute filter, which for me, it's fine. It's not the same. There's little things like that I really like, and their shorts are particularly good. In terms of the sound, I think it's a little bit less. It's less distinctive than either Berlin or Spitfire, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Its main advantage over the others is it's 320 quid, so it's much cheaper. It's half the price of both of the others, really, less than half the price of Berlin, and it is a real contender. So if you are a top-line professional player writing stuff all the time, and you buy lots of libraries, then you've probably got Spitfire, and you may well be thinking about Berlin. And there's good reasons, having played this, particularly if the price, if you can find a sale or something, there are reasons to add Berlin to your library because they do these dynamic things particularly well, and the legatos are really good. So it is definitely one which you would, it brings something new to the table. If you're on a more restricted budget, which the vast majority of people are, and you're not doing this, full time for a living, then Cinematic Studio Strings is an exceptionally good library as well. And I have to say, I think their shorts in particular are really, really good. They're very well edited, they're very reliable, and I really like the way that mod wheel thingy-majiggy works. So I would, I don't review things if I don't think they're any good, and if I haven't heard good things about them. And I think all these are really good libraries. They all have advantages and disadvantages. And it's really about your own personal style and resources and how much you want to spend. But, so they're all great. Which one do you want? That's pretty much... Remember, I mean, there's a lot of older libraries out there. The East-West Hollywood Strings, the East-West Symphonic Orchestra, Cine Strings from Cine Samples, all the 8DO stuff. And they still, many of them really punch above their weight. To this day. I think probably I'm still happy with my principal choice of Spitfire. And I quite like having one cohesive library, which is my main library, because they're all in the same room, and that room is really important. But that said, wow, aren't we lucky to have all this choice? Anyway, hope you found that useful. And do remember, if you have found this useful and you want to see lots of sort of scory type things, and you want to see sort of reviews of libraries and all that kind of malarkey, subscribe, hit the button, do the thing. And if you're interested in sampled orchestration, we have a sampled orchestration guide, which is also down below this video. Hello! And that's, so give that a go and see how it goes. Let's just say a farewell to our special guest, John Williams. What did you think of all those libraries, John?
Phenomenal.
Yeah, he agrees. Anyway, thanks very much indeed for being here.
Well, it's been fun.
Great, no problem at all. And we look forward to seeing you again and you again in the very near future. Bye-bye.